All right. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Rockstars with Rick. I am here with my good friend, Nora Aguirre from Las Vegas, Nevada.
How are you, Rick? Happy
Thanks
to be
for,
here
thanks
with
for,
you.
oh my gosh, it took us forever to get this planned, huh?
Absolutely. It's been a busy
Between
first
busy
quarter.
year, between your schedule, my schedule, and for people that don't know you, you are currently the president of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals nationally.
Yes, that's one of the greatest honors that I probably will hold the rest of my career for sure. So 2024 president, and so that has absolutely given me tremendous opportunity to be across the country, connect with a lot of different professionals, not just realtors, really everyone in the real estate industry. And as everyone here knows, it's been an interesting year. Many would say bumpy and full of challenges, but I've also seen a lot of wonderful and powerful agents and lenders that are really pushing through and actually thriving um, in a market that's full of challenges, or like I like to say, opportunities.
Well, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the power of networking, especially like groups with NAREP. So prior to like you and I met at an ARP event. We were both speaking in Denver.
Yep.
We were both involved in NAREP, but never really knew each other. We've both been involved many years, but NAREP's such a big organization. Sometimes you can go for years and never meet anybody. So we met there. But just to kind of paint a little bit of color of to who you are, you're a top producing realtor. I looked up your production on one of my softwares just to kind of give an idea and share with the audience. And my numbers could be off, so feel free to
Yeah.
correct me. But I looked up last year, you did about 120 units for 45 million.
Hmm. Hmm.
Would you say it's about right?
It is about right with the production we did in Vegas. We have business that is happening outside of Vegas, and we closed another 35 transactions outside of our market, and that added an additional 15, 20,000, 20 million to our production. Hmm.
But the point I'm getting at is a realtor at your level. You're probably getting calls all the time. You're always in meetings. You're always in bookings. You're showing like you're nonstop. It's very unlikely someone like me from Atlanta, Georgia, would connect with someone like you because of the type of business we're both in. But through incredible organizations like NAREP, we got to sit at the same table for breakfast, learn that we ran in the same circles, we never knew it, and just became best friends immediately. And that
Yeah.
is just like the power of that organization.
Yeah. No, at the time, what I need to tell people is that at that moment you were actually coaching and overseeing chapters across the country, helping them through a lot of what NAREP does in the policy
Advocacy. Yeah.
arena. And I was in another way, at the time, I believe I was coaching and kind of leading some committees. So I was not on the national board yet, I believe. And so, yeah, you're right. The organization is so big that though we were both serving and contributing to NAREP in different ways, we hadn't really had time or the opportunity to connect. And so, yeah, and it was an instant, like you said, it was an instant connection because what's clear is that if you're giving your time and you're part of this organization, which I absolutely am as well, that tells me that we belong in the same rooms, in the same conversations. We love doing the same things, which is helping increase Hispanic homeownership. And so absolutely like instant best friends, right?
Well, and I think also like with a lot of these networking organizations, there's a lot of different type of people that go to these events and network, right? There's the people that go for the partying. There's the people that go for the networking. There's the people that go to sharpen their sword and become better salespeople. And I think that's where you and I both hit it off because we're talking strategy at a breakfast in a city neither one of us live in, just
Yeah.
bouncing ideas, talking strategy, and then from there we've continued to talk strategy. And I think so many people don't realize because they don't either know the right people in the networking organization, whether it's SnarUp or any organization, find the right crowd that's going to help you level up, push you to get better. I mean, you push me to get better all the time. And I've tried to do the same for you, but I don't, you're already great. So,
You're so
but
cool. Yeah.
but you just you gotta find your right niche, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to do these type of interviews was to showcase people like yourself and showcase others in the organization that are doing incredible things and more people can know about.
Yeah, it's so important to be intentional, Rick, in anything you do. And so if you're showing up to any organization, any conference, and many great producers and people that want to grow always are, kind of looking for places to grow and learn. But you can get lost if you're just not clear in, like you said, you can get lost in the partying because, of course, realtors, lenders are fun people to be around, very
We like to party.
social. I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, all these big personalities. So of course you're going to have fun. But, again, if you understand exactly what you're looking to gain, and not just for that event, but for your year, your 5-year plan, 10-year plan, and you understand what our industry is going through, um, I think that many, many more people would just be really laser focused on making sure that they go for what they want at any event, and then we put, you know, the fun and everything else is kind of the second um, when we go. And so I think that's one of the things that you've done well. I've definitely focused on that even on the local level. And big shout out to everybody out there that's a local leader for one of our chapters. There's a lot of work locally that happens throughout our country with our NARA family. But when I was at the local chapter, we would go to our national events, and I remember there's so much going on. It's so fun to be, kind of in a lot of the different special celebrations that happen after the trainings and things like that. But I would tell my team when I was a president, I said, if you guys are going to play hard, you have to make sure you work hard, and that's why I'm here to hold us all accountable. So I would look at them and they would look back, they're like, so I'm kind of like that person that's always kind of making sure that I'm super productive. And so for me that was important, right? And now it brings lots of value outside of just the socializing and possibly, entertainment and fun. Because one of the things that I do like to say is that within NAREP, what does happen is people do connect with the culture that we have in the organization, because it does bring you back to your roots, where you feel like, man, it's not just like a conference. It's actually, it has a little bit of my of
My
what I'm
culture.
missing, that, yeah, the cultura, right? um and we're talking about the same issues, and our clients have the same obstacles, and we can really relate at that level. And so again, it is very exciting. It is very wonderful, and you can get carried through that for sure. Um, but the part that's for me, and it's been absolutely transformative in my business, has been the masterminding with people that are doing way more than I am, and just
Absolutely.
getting to be in a conversation with them. What are their obstacles? Where are they? Um, where did they struggle when they were at my production? And just getting to hear how they, pretty much, you know, did a little pivot, did a little change, how they incorporated, somebody into their team that really came in and brought another level of opportunity and growth. Those are the conversations that I live for, and they happen in NAREP all the time. And so some of my greatest mentors and now absolute best friends are obviously within the organization, and the idea
Same.
of seeing them grow. They love to see me grow. And here's another tool. Here's another, software and that I'm using that help me troubleshoot. Right now with technology, things are moving super fast, right, Rick? And knowing, an app that can save you 12 weeks, right, on something,
Mhm.
is a huge advantage. And so that's what
Well,
you'll get. That's what you'll gain.
well, like you said, like you're talking to people that are at a higher production level that you are. They've been at the season that you're at currently.
Mhm.
They can help give you that cheat code to get over that hump because they experienced it. And like if not having that network, like it would take you longer and
Absolutely.
maybe more challenges to get there.
Yeah. The other thing
But
too is thinking bigger, Rick. I don't know how many uh I don't know if it's part of our culture, but I do often think that it's part of our culture, um, where we're taught just work hard, have an honest and decent life, and it's going to be wonderful. Like it's a wonderful life, and it is. So we kind of always there's kind of a ceiling that we put on ourselves, or that through it. It's like, well, you've kind of made it. You own your own home, you make X amount a year, you're kind of making more than everyone. I mean, I'm an immigrant, so it's really a dream to be making 80, 90,000, 100,000 a year. um, and that's really the number that I kind of carried for a long time as a real estate agent. And I remember it was a huge struggle to get there, to get to the 100,000 for such a long time. And a lot had to do with my limitations. Again, being around NAREP, man, I saw folks obviously making $1 million a year, and just absolutely that opened up my mind. And it just kind of kept happening until I was like, well, could I, man? And do I want to? And that was also a wonderful journey for me to go down and understand that I was limiting myself in regards to how much income um, I even thought was possible that I could make. And so again, thinking big, a big thing for me as well. It helped me, it stretched me. And, again, I'm here today because of it, because I've continued to push to the next level. And complacency, I think, is something that often happens in our industry, and not because, you're intentionally, but it's how we grew up. And so you feel accomplished, which you should, getting to 80, $100,000. Um, but there's a much bigger push that you may need to make. But it's actually really achievable. And once you've gotten to 100, you can easily get to 200. And it's just being around people that are doing that or more. And they're just kind of helping you get excited about living that life. And so, again, I can talk about that around NAREP 4 days.
Well,
Rick.
one thing I want to add that for surprisingly you have not touched on that I love about the organization. So I was president in 2015. And I went to the Leadership Academy like 3 times. And for me, the skill sets the organization taught you to be a better speaker, to be a better leader. And I give all that to Jerry Asensio. I mean, he taught me how to be a good speaker, how to stand on a stage. Jerry tells this joke whenever we're around the Atlanta people. He's like, when I met Rick, he could barely talk and chew gum at the same time. It was true. I was terrible. And through listening and through guys like that just took me under their wing and mentored me, and many people with an organization. Joe Velasquez, another one of my big angels in my life, Vanessa
Yeah.
Palacios. And so from a lot of these incredible people that want to see you do better and want to lift you up. Like that's just a rarity in today's world. And I think that's what encompasses our great organization.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can talk again about that in so many ways. I mean, you mentioned
Right.
some two of the great people in the organization that just absolutely get on stage, and you're just, blown away. You're like,
Yep.
they're absolute, professional speakers. Sarah,
Oh, so I
Armand
interviewed
Peter.
Sarah. Yeah, I interviewed Sarah and we posted her to Inman last week. And oh my
Oh, very
gosh,
cool.
learning
Very
her
cool.
story, like there was so much I didn't know about her, and we learned. And yeah,
Yeah.
and watching her journey, she's another example. She was president around the same time I was. We were both kind of shy people, and now she's blossomed into this mega rock
My
star. I'm so
gosh.
proud of her. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's incredible again. Um and one of the things that Gary, who has also, it's been a true inspiration, and the more I get to interact with him on a kind of personal level, and now at this level as president, it is an amazing. I mean, it is truly amazing. He truly is a visionary. He's constantly thinking about the future for this organization and for Latinos. And so being around people that kind of hold themselves to that level, um, where they really feel the responsibility to do something and to be better and to put things together for other leaders to thrive. And so one of the things that Gary says is NAREP is an organization that builds leaders, and from the ground up on the local level,
Mhm.
maybe people that have never been on a board. I remember, I mean, Rick, when I gave my speech when I was president at the local level, my whole body was like I was sweating. There was an uncomfortable feeling, like this heat, and I stayed there giving my speech, and I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life, like
Oh,
embarrassment and everything in between. I mean, obviously now I've
I couldn't tell. I was in the crowd. You look
well,
amazing.
no, not last year, not last year,
Okay,
like not
okay.
last year. 10 years ago when I was at the
Gotcha.
local
Yeah, when you
chapter.
first.
I
Gotcha.
can tell you
Gotcha.
that it was still I can tell you that getting
Yep.
in front of, on stage now and being around,
It's
Jerry is
terrifying that first time.
terrifying, terrifying.
Well, especially when you're in the room with those rock stars. You're like, they speak and it's
100%.
your turn, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and you know how you see them, right? And how they
Yeah.
perform, and you're just like, "Man, I don't know that I have it in me to." But here's the thing, they know that you're working towards just being better, and they're cheering you on, and it does nobody has the same type of um, speech structure, like nobody everyone has their own personality. And so again, NAREP wants to see more leaders and is willing to pay the price to help us learn, right? And so that means that mistakes have to be made. So I've made plenty of mistakes on stage now, and through that process of being received with a lot of love and a lot of like the teachers, the mentors that all of them are, it just helped me really be at ease. Like it's okay,
Mhm.
nothing's going to happen. Like we're here, we're all looking to fulfill a common mission. And if you stutter here, it's okay. There's a lot of love in that room, and it'll carry us through. And what's more important is a mission. And I think that out of everything we can say about NAREB today is we can say that year over year the organization continues to position itself, our leaders, our members, and really our mission, um, really at the top, right? Year over year, our organization is more powerful, and we have a voice. We're leaning in maybe rooms that we would have not been brought into before, to make sure that people know that the Latino in this country is growing, wealth wise, home ownership wise, and that we have a lot of room for growth, and we're taking that very seriously, right?
Right.
So
Well, changing gears a little bit.
yeah,
We're still going to talk about NAREP, but just kind of slightly changing gears, and we're going to completely change gears. Let's talk about business because I remember going to you and telling you how I was struggling. I forgot the exact the framework I said, but you told me like, Rick, it's okay to like get business from NAREP. It's okay to like that's why we're here. You should definitely at least, and you said doing the right way. But how has being a part of a networking organization like NAREP helped with your business? And I guess what I'm really trying to get you to share with is why people watching this should come and participate in organizations such as NAREP and how it can help boom their business. Obviously,
yeah,
for me, it helps not just from like I can reach out to you, I can reach out to so many incredible lenders doing incredible things to share ideas. But in the terms of actually getting business, what are some things you'd like to share?
yeah. I mean, I think first you have to understand that everyone that's in that room is looking for the same thing you are, which is to grow their business, to grow their leadership skills. But grow your business is the number one, right? And so again, going back to Gary and the conversations that we had, and hopefully many can hear this and hear it often throughout our organization, is we want you to become extremely wealthy because we want you to be that story that continues to happen at NAREP. And that will happen through your connection with lenders, other realtors, top producers. I mean, uh, being able to get an account, these hedge funds. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in those rooms that you could be connecting with. Um, and so for me personally, I can tell you the biggest opportunity is that I'm able to plug into producers, people that are serious about their business across the country. So when I say I've closed last year 35 referrals, I did that with NAREP members, NAREP real estate agents across the country. And it's worked really well for us in the sense that w- what maybe a lot of people can talk. I mean, even like the big names out there, the Zillows of the world, is people can get leads. The problem is agents don't follow up, they don't do the work, and you have the client there. And at the end of the day, it's your name on the line because you're the one handing that customer over to that other professional in that local market. Well, with the NAREP, really it's a completely different handover of that client, of that business, because you have somebody that is, committed within our network, that prioritizes making sure that, hey, this is serious, thank you for the opportunity. No matter if they're a top producer or there's somebody that's a little, is not doing a lot of production, they take it very personal that you've given them the opportunity. And so we've seen a wonderful turnaround on those leads and on those clients that we've handed over in some of these markets. Very different if we've handed them through, different sources, which I have. I tried it for years, handing my referrals over through, some of our coaching platforms, some of these other things, and it was not as effective. So that's one. The other way for us is, well, the other way that I've grown is virtual assistants, right? So today I have a huge team that's I've been building this team for about 6 years on the virtual side, and this came through a top producer within NAREP. About 10 years ago when I started, he was using virtual assistants, and he said, "This is how I do it. A, B, C, D." I went and repeated the same process, A, B, C, D, and I was able to start and hire my first virtual assistant. 7 years ago was not as easy as it is today. There's so many different platforms you can hire VAs. But we needed a bilingual VA. There's a whole process. And he just handed that over to me. No cost, no fee. You don't have to sign up for anything. And that was through the connection through NAREP. And that for me was a huge game changer for my business at the time. And so I can give you, Rick, multiple different
Examples. Yeah.
ways throughout the years that I've benefited. But what I see again is the intentional part, right? You have to know where your business right now is needing that push. Um, and then when you're heading over to one of our events, you're making those connections, then you're able to ask specifically. And through the network, I promise you that if you arrive to one of our events and you say, "Hey, this is the question I have. This is what I'm looking to do, troubleshoot." If they're not the person that you need to be talking to, they'll probably usually point you in the right direction and tell
Mhm.
you, "Actually, you need to be talking to this person. And this is who would be a great person for you to connect with." So there's a lot of that around our organization.
Well, I'm going to share my screen because this next topic we're going to get into is the
Yeah.
real reason I wanted to do this call. I every time I talk to realtors in the marketplace that I prospect or I work with, I always talk about you as the example of marketing on YouTube. You were the
Mhm.
first that I've seen do it. You were one of the ones doing it the most consistent. I love your content, and it's all in Spanish, which is a language I don't even speak very well, but I just love. I'm a huge fan. So you
Thank
motivated
you.
me to start a YouTube channel. So I started mine a few months ago. This video will go on it. I wish I could collaborate with you to get some of your followers. But I think what you've done on YouTube is like the top 1% in the country of all real estate agents. So I'm going to share your page. I want everyone that sees this video to start following you because you just post just incredible stuff. And I imagine many people watching this may not speak Spanish, and that's fine. Use ChatGPT to translate.
Yeah.
But the things that I want to really point out is that Nora has 10 over 10,000 followers. Okay, so to get 10,000 followers on Instagram is hard. To get 10,000 followers on YouTube is insane. Like that's, I don't know. You've got to be doing it consistently, nonstop, but putting out
Yeah.
good content that people want to watch. And
Yeah.
you've done such a great job. And like I remember when I first saw this like 5 years ago, I asked you about it, and you're like, yeah, my team helps you. You're kind of like not really bragging about it, but I was just so impressed by how humble you were. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, you're such a celebrity on YouTube. So let's talk about your YouTube journey, and let's talk about how it's helped with your business.
Wow. So thank you for saying that, Rick. And so it's still today's going to be the same thing, Rick. It's my team, and again, my virtual team, who really guides me to what our next project is. And so, specifically with YouTube, I hired a while back somebody that specialized in YouTube, and he had a huge channel. And we're talking somebody in
Ah,
Colombia. And so he's like, I can absolutely help. So I brought him in. He's been part of my team
does he speak?
since then.
I might need to
Nope,
hire.
he does not. He does
Oh,
not speak English, and he works full time for me
oh,
now. But basically, he's the one that feels very proud of this milestone, because for me, sometimes I don't understand all of the kind of social media, all the what happens to the platforms, where the milestones are, but he carries me through all. So it's so important to say that because many that may be listening to me today may feel like, well, it may be too late. I don't know, et cetera, how to do it. You may not need to know. You just hire the right person um, that can really take you into that. And so he understood that YouTube was going to be very big. Because he'd been living that. He had a really good experience with it. And you're right. It did take us into a completely like kind of a national um, uh, presence in regards to real estate and in Spanish. So he did a wonderful job. His job is to constantly be telling me what I need to be talking about, what topics I need to be touching on, what comments people leave on YouTube, and I'm responding to people's comments on another live. And so it's become kind of like a way of life for me. Like every week, it's like, okay, I'm going to do 3 to 4 lives on YouTube, but also on the other platforms, and then we'll take advantage of all of that content that's being created, and they'll do more things with it. They'll push it on TikTok and things like that. I have been really busy, as you know, with this wonderful role as national president. So this past year, if anything, I can tell you that our game has been a little slower in regards to how we've been done. Um, but what it is very true, and when you say YouTube, the followers there are very loyal, and they want very thorough explanation of things. And if you give that to them and you don't just give them the kind of like the 30-second little hot explanation, they stay. And very interesting to know that you begin to build kind of this community, that your own tribe per se, and they start looking for you, and they'll leave messages for you, um and they'll want notifications of when you're going live. And I mean, it's been wonderful to experience.
it's
Again,
beautiful because
it
you're
is.
really leading a community, and like
Yes,
you're like leading a community and guiding them to accomplish the American dream of home ownership. And like
absolutely.
I can't think of a better feeling, a better cause, something that's great.
It is. But here's the thing, and that's why I'm saying there's always the next level, right? And for me, I'm already thinking of that in regards to the content, because I realized that I focused on creating content in Spanish because I feel that um, Spanish
The
speaking
market's
home
underserved.
buyers, yeah, as
Yeah,
underserved,
mostly
exactly.
underserved.
But you know what, Rick? A lot of um, English speaking first time home buyers, they want the same type of explanation. They want you to be thorough and all of that. So for me, the next, just so you know, the next game for me with YouTube is we're working on making sure that we have a channel connected to this one, of course, where we're creating content just in English and making
Oh,
sure that we're also um, giving all of those same details and building a community there. And so it'll be exciting to see that community grow as well. And how does this help? Um, well, it helps a lot, right? I have customers that call me and say, I see you on TV, and I don't do any advertising on TV. Why? Because YouTube, you can watch it from your TV now, right?
yeah.
So it's very powerful. Um, and even for campaign, like paying for campaigns in YouTube, it's different than doing that in Facebook, doing it in TikTok, and all these things. It's actually much, kind of much lower. You don't need to uh, put in all of this money because actually the platform doesn't reward you for spending more money. It rewards you for content that people like to watch, and it rewards for the algorithm for YouTube is the longer people stay and watch your content, the more YouTube will kind of highlight you, and it just kind of happens naturally. So in YouTube, what you're sharing and giving that longer explanation of things is really wonderful. So it's the platform I prefer, for sure, right, in my
So
style.
I'm going to selfishly plug myself just because I have the rock star on. I want to.
Yeah.
Hopefully, all these people are following you, so maybe they'll follow me as well. But no, what I want to point out though, and I'm selfishly plugging myself, is when I got serious about being consistent on YouTube, I only had like 50 followers. And I got serious about a month ago on being consistent, posting content, being intentional, doing interviews like this, interviewing people, sharing strategies. And in a month, I went from 60 followers to 176. Now that might not be a lot, but over time, it adds up and it snowballs. And if what I tell people is we get so focused on the big numbers, 50,000 views, 100,000 views. Well, if you could speak to 100 people today that want to buy a home, that'd be a great day.
100%. If you could fill a room with 100 people and you can physically see that, you'd be very excited. And
Very
that's,
excited.
you're right.
But
Mhm.
but we get stuck in these big numbers. But sometimes, like at least somebody's watching, and down the road, like I'm trying to stop my share. All your videos don't always hit, but you know what? That's good content because maybe somebody may be looking for that video later in time, and they see that video later in time, and it helps them. So a lot of the stuff that you're posting today that may not go viral and blow up could still help somebody else down the road.
Not only that, Rick, it's making you a better speaker, a better communicator, a better teacher. And if you're in real estate right now, you may not think that you have to do any of those things, but the truth is you do. The market is asking for it. You have to have the capability of expressing, teaching, explaining, and whether you're a leader of a team, of a brokerage, or you're just starting, it's going to be so important that you know how to kind of deliver a message, have some punchlines, and then be able to kind of explain your thoughts. And so, you practicing um, and going live and doing these things, it's going to put you out there to really kind of um, help you understand how to do it better. And you're only practicing, right, and growing and strengthening that muscle, which will in time, pay you dividends.
No, and I think that this is a good transition to talk about more things realtors should be doing in today's environment to help their business, right? And you just found the head, something I talk about a lot. Like you need to be out doing social media. And you live in Vegas. I'm sure you've heard of Alex Hormozy. I'm
Hmm.
a big fan
Hmm.
of his. And Alex Hormozy, it comes down to the reps. The more you do, the better you get. Whether you're speaking on YouTube, speaking on stage, the more you speak, the more you get your practice your frameworks, the more you practice your scripts, the better you get.
Rick, not just that, learning how to be able to speak for a longer period of time. Your voice, your throat, like I remember that I was like, I'm getting a sore throat. Like I'm losing my voice. It's like because I'm not properly using my vocal cords. And it was like, man, that too needs to be practiced, strengthened, where now you can speak for 5 hours if you needed to, and you really can ask your body for that, right? So it's a wonderful, um, absolutely a wonderful opportunity to um, learn, teach yourself, and grow. Not only that, it's like I mentioned, to me, it's the future of where the real estate market's gonna be at. Um, you have to be very good and connect with customers. And whether you like it or not, customers, whether you like it or not, give me 1 second.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello? Did I lose you, Rick?
No, I'm here. I'm here. I thought you picked up a client, a buyer's call, and you're a seller. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, we're back recording. We had some technical audio difficulty. We're back. Nora, so I'm not sure exactly where we left off. We were at such great combo. But in wrapping up the call, because I know that we have a few minutes left, best tips and practices to help realtors in today's market. We were talking about that they need to practice speaking more, their voice, getting the reps in talking, getting the reps in doing the presentation, getting as many reps as you can to be a better professional. What are some other activities that you would recommend realtors do in this today's market that they're struggling?
I would say the opportunity to really learn how to connect, be intentional about connecting with your customer, sellers, buyers right now is what we are seeing is going to really make the difference. And going back to social media is a huge tool to connect with your customers. They get to see a little bit of who you are, maybe on and off your profession. And from that, they then become uh, bigger fans, and that connection can really be solidified. And so the connection is what's going to take you to the closing table. We're seeing that too often. Customers right now are just getting cold feet because of what they're hearing in news, what they're hearing about our industry, um, or just they're being bombarded, right, with phone calls. How many people are getting calls? Sellers are getting calls. Do you want to sell today? Cheaper, without an agent? I'll make you a cash offer. There's so much they're hit with every single day. So what's going to make the difference is that opportunity to connect. So just become a really good connector. And to maybe your surprise, and it really was for me as well, a couple years ago, is social media is a huge tool to help you connect. If you build that loyal fan base on social media, which again, YouTube, I believe that that's one of my favorites right now because people are truly very loyal. Once they subscribe to you, they really want to hear from you and they want to transact with you in your city. They want to transact with you outside of your city and maybe even internationally. And so there will be no limits in the future for the real estate agent that absolutely takes on the challenge of being not just good, but beyond, right? And if you put in the work, if you create your presence online, social media, and then you're able to deliver through your presentation or a meeting in person, that will be able to take you, there's sky's the limit because I do feel in the next couple of years, we will have many people who fall out of our industry just because the level of competition and the level of demand it will have. You will need to have automatizations. You will need to be on social media. You will need to be able to perform, live and present and show homes or build a team. And your team's going to need you to also show up and teach them and train them and mentor them. So if you're not ready for that future, I'm going to tell you that you're probably going to be looking into another job in another industry. But if you embrace it and you understand, yes, there will be challenges, but it is absolutely a game changer for those of us who absolutely adapt and grow. We will be able to take on market share that we didn't even dream of, right?
We have some technical difficulties again. Nora? Well, on that note, we actually came up on our time, so it looks like Nora has some technical difficulties. But I'm going to go and wrap this puppy up and end the call because our time is up. But Nora, thank you so much for being here. I know you can't hear me, but it's been a
Hello.
massive honor to have you and just super grateful to have you. So thank you so much.